Hey, hang on. I need to fix something. I'll be with you in a second. Boop. There we go. That's fixed. That's fixed. Alright. Oh, hang on. There we go. I got it. Alright. So, of course, last time we played this, we basically went through, we finished up the third case, we basically did all the investigating for case 4, and I'm pretty sure, well, I'm not sure, actually, I'm unsure, how long the trial's gonna be, but I would assume that it's all in one go, rather than us having to, like, do a trial, go investigate, do the trial again. Because that was very much a thing in previous games. That wasn't exactly an issue, necessarily. It's more that it tended to do that. But at least with this game, it seems like they're going for longer investigations and longer trials, basically. But I guess we'll see what ends up happening, you know? Hey, Darth. I'm doing pretty good. I pretty much just ate, so that way I at least a little bit of energy, you know? Alright, so yeah, we're just gonna be in the trial because we finished up the investigation before the end of last stream because I wanted to get that done. That way we could just go full on with the trial. So. Alright. I might need to bump up the volume. Right about there, I think. That'd be fine. Well, I never expect this. Actually, let me see. Can I actually change the audio? No. I can only do that on my end. Right. Okay, I think that's gonna be good enough, actually. Alright. Who'd have thought we'd be back here again so soon? We're on a study tour of the Great Britain with the intention of learning the country's legal practices. In order to research the latest court procedures here, we need as much court experience as possible. Well, yes, I suppose that's true, but for the person in the dock, it may as well be his or her only time in court, and it could be life-changing. In which case, treating it as research may seem a little crass. Or morbid. You could also say morbid. Oh, when you put it like that, you're quite right. Good morning! Mr. Natsume. Good morning. Oh dear, are you alright? Your eyes are terribly bloodshot. The early bird catches the worm, as they say here in Britain. Yes, I've heard that expression. But I really don't want to catch a worm. So I tried desperately not to wake up early, but I was so worried I couldn't catch a wink. Oh my god. Oh, he's gonna go have a terrible freaking day. And now I'm absolutely exhausted as a result. Do all literary people take things so Literally? Thank you for putting your faith in us today, Mr. Natsume. I wish I had 9 lives. My whole future hangs in the balance. I'm too terrified to tremble. Really? Because I can feel tremors in the floor. I can't do this. I can't take it. Although, welcome student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Yes? I got a glimpse of the public gallery as I walked by the courtroom. It looked like the opening night of the opera. There were so many people. I had no idea my case was such a notorious affair in the London. Oh, neither did I. Do you know why that might be, Miss Susato? I'm sorry, Mr. Naruhodo, I have no idea. So that all-knowing look on your face is just coincidence then, is it? Don't hide the truth from me. It's because of the Reaper, isn't it? Lord Van Zeeks? Is that right, Miss Susato? I purchased as many different newspapers as I could find this morning, and yes, Lord Van Zeeks is on the front page of every one. I knew it. Sometime after the prosecutor was dubbed the Reaper of the Bailey, he stopped appearing in court, it seems. It's been several years now, in fact, until the day before yesterday. So, because he has such a famous name then, like quite a title, people are very interested to see what happens with the trials he's in, basically. Yes, Inspector Gregson told us something similar, didn't he? The trial 2 days ago marked Lord Van Zeeks returning to the courtroom after a very long hiatus. The trial of Magnus McGilded. Ugh, what a harrowing experience that was. And he was also a loan shark. I believe that appearance made even greater waves here in the capital than today's. But we wouldn't have realized, of course, having only just arrived in the country. Why is the Reaper back in the Bailey so soon for what appears to be mundane murder? That's the question the papers are asking, and they are all speculating various answers. Mundane! Mundane! It's the most significant saga of the century to some of us! Oh dear, I meant no offense, Mr. Natsume, but that is how the papers are describing it. Well, lest we also forget the fact that it could spark an international incident. Obviously, the reappearance of this infamous prosecutor has caught people's attention. There's another blatant similarity with the trial of 2 days ago. Yes, I agree. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. It's you. Me? Well, I suppose that's true. Well, yes. We're the defense lawyer here as well. Both times, it is you who stands against this legendary prosecutor. It can only mean that you're friends with the Reaper. Oh my god. Really? Please, I don't rub shoulders with Deathbringers. I'm afraid there's only really one other explanation. It can only be another example, Mr. Naruhodo, of your uncommon bad luck. Thanks for that. Oh, this is just my luck. Why must I be represented by a man with such a frail fortune? By the least lucky lawyer alive? Well, let's not forget. that it was you, Mr. Natsume, who asked me to represent you. Got him. Yes, it's true that I'm just a student, new to London, with little way of experience or skills or luck. But I promise you this. I will fight for your corner until the bitter end, and I will believe in you, Mr. Natsume. Oh, benevolent locum student, Mr. Naruto Esquire. You're not alone here with us, Mr. Natsume. Whatever happens, we will always be on your side. Oh, benevolent non-locum assistant, Miss Mikotoba Esquires. He always goes with the freaking mouthful. I am in your debt forever. I shall... Mr. Natsume, counsel for the defense. The court session is about to begin. Kindly make your way into the courtroom at once. Alright then, Mr. Natsume, it's time. Let's go. Yes! Help him! Help him! This is it. My second appearance in a British courtroom. And my second trial against the Reaper. I hope you're watching over me, Kazuma. Because this time, I won't let my faith waver. I'll believe in my client to the last. Just like you believed in me. I believe I can do this now. I'm ready for this fight. Let's do this. And we got a new lineup of jury. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is fully prepared, my lord. The defense is ready, my lord. The Nipponese are truly fascinating breed. Sorry, what? Lord Strongheart has told me all about you. That you are a student who arrived in London but 2 days ago. A mere amateur. Do you have a point? Being a compatriot, you feel compelled to try and help the accused, I suppose. Typical Nipponese arrogance. Racism! Ooh. Forgive me, but I do not believe arrogance is an appropriate description. Tsutaro-san. After all our previous encounters, the defendant was found to be innocent. Very true, and a most fascinating, if dark, trial it was too. The tragic conclusion came later, of course. Here's to the acquitted and his unfortunate, violent end. Well, McGilda was kind of an asshole anyway, so yeah. I don't feel that bad. Honestly, I don't feel bad at all, to be honest. Thank you, counsels. I see both sides are in fine fettle. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, are you ready to carry out your duties here in court and as impartial members of the public? Oh. There's the banker. You never know when you might be down on your luck, but I believe in fair play for everyone. Well, I must warn you, I'm rather more ruthless than I appear. With those eyes and those lips, I don't know. Oh well, not me. What you see is what you get. I'm a peace-loving fellow. Oh. It's Joan. I'm afraid to say I think it's quite possible that mustached foreigner did the deed. Oh my god. You're bringing this up again. You're only saying that... Come on, what are we waiting for? No doubt he did it anyway. Eh? Sorry? Didn't quite catch that. Oh no. Very well, let us proceed. Your opening statement, if you please, Lord Van Zeeks. Very recently, Great Britain signed an alliance with a rising power in the Far East. The accused in the dock today is a student from that same land, a certain Mr. Soseki Natsume. And while our country has extended to this foreign student the warmest of welcomes, regrettably, the kindness has not been returned. In fact, this student is accused of a most sinister act. Of plunging a knife in the back of an innocent woman who was doing nothing but walking down the street. A knife crime? I tell you from bitter experience, those are the worst. Bloody oath they are. Just look at the sallow complexion and short stature. He's one of those dreadful Japanese. Oh boy. The racism, man. Come on, let's get this over with. With me now, everyone. 1, 2, 3. Eh? Sorry? Didn't quite catch that. Pray, forgive the discourtesy of smashing my hollow chalice here in this great chamber. Yeah. Allow me to call the first witness to the stand. Very well. Bailiff, lead the inspector in, please. Inspector Gregson and his chips. Your name and occupation, please. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard. Would you please summarize the events of the case for the court, Inspector? The victim is thought to be a young woman in her 20s by the name of Olive Green. I beg your pardon, Inspector. Thought to be? Yes. Having been stabbed in the back by her attacker's knife, the victim fell unconscious. That was 3 days ago now, and she's been comatose ever since. What? So I don't even know who she is for sure? Comatose, I see. But her life is not in danger. Fortunately for the Eastern students, the charge will not be murder. Pray, elaborate on the details, Inspector. Sir, if I'm gonna ask everyone to look at this street map. As I mentioned, the incident took place 3 days ago, at around 5 in the afternoon. It happened on the pavement running alongside Briar Road, a wide thoroughfare for horse-drawn vehicles. It had not long since stopped snowing as the victim, Miss Green, was walking down the street. Out of the blue, she was approached from behind by the accused and stabbed in the back. Luckily, the young lady's life was spared, and she's currently being treated in one of the city's hospitals. But being unconscious as she is, we've been unable to take a statement from her, of course. This is the case file with everything we know about the victim so far. Thank you, Inspector. The court will accept the court documents as evidence, if you please. Alright, let's see. Young woman uncovered. Female, stout build, early 20s. victim remains unconscious. Her name was gleaned from her personal effects. Other details are unknown. No other signs of injury were observed. Alright. What of the weapon that was used? Sir, I have that here. It was removed from the victim's back. Ouch, that big thing is starting to make me scared to walk down the street now. With a heavy blade like that, almost anybody would have been able to stab the poor woman. Even the scragged-looking Sosuke-san, I suppose. Common or garden jackknife, I would say. Rather nondescript. Thank you, Inspector. The court accepts the blade as evidence. Let me actually look at that. Well, it is a flip knife, obviously. Question is, why is this clean? Like, why is it specifically clean? Like, if it was like, you know, if it was like stabbed in her back, wouldn't there be blood on this or something? You know? Because this seems a little odd. Just a little bit. Now then, what do we know of the motive? Money or valuables, I presume? Well, I can tell by looking at the woman's possessions, it seems like she's a poor student herself. Hard to imagine she would have had anything much worth pinching, my lord. See, well in that case, are we looking at some deep-seated resentment toward the victim? I'm afraid I couldn't say. Apart from visiting secondhand shops, the defendant, Mr. Natsui, doesn't appear to get out much. At this moment in time, we haven't been able to establish any sort of connection between him and the victim.
Yes!
If theft and grievance have been ruled out as motive, what reason could Mr. Natsume possibly have had for stabbing the young woman? Yet you arrested the man in spite of that, in a totally unjustified and heavy-handed way.
Objection!
Dude! Dude! Pray forgive the discourtesy of flinging a freshly uncorked bottle onto the public gallery. Yeah, that could have hit someone in the frickin' face. But your words have soured its hallowed banquet. Bouquet. 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 Okay, hang on a second. This frickin' thing is working like me. What? Scotland Yard does not arrest people without a good cause. That should be beyond question. Inspector Gretzkin, the prosecution calls for your formal testimony. Explain to the court precisely why the constabulary came to arrest the Nipponese student. Yes, sir. Well, it's time to find contradiction. As I said, it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon when the incident occurred, and there was an unusually light fog. Visibility was reasonably good, and there was no one else about but the victim and the accused. Out of the blue, the victim was stabbed from behind and substantially collapsed on the pavement. The accused ran off, scattering his belongings all over the floor. Those being a number of old books he just bought. He was on his way home from a bookshop, it seems. It's just a matter of working out who the books belonged to, and we found the bloke to arrest him. Fair. However, That doesn't mean he did it. That could literally mean he was just shocked and just ran and bolted, you know? Old books, you say? Yes, my lord. I have a photograph here of the scene of the crime, taken immediately after the incident. Ah, yes. I can clearly see the books to which you are referring. I will take the photographic print as evidence, please, Inspector. Honestly, let me actually look at this. If he was holding a lot of books, why would he just suddenly pull out a knife and stab her in the back? That's really weird. Really weird. Like, it'd be... Honestly, I think it'd be a little awkward to just kind of do that, like, oh, I'm just holding books and I bring out a knife and... No, that's really weird. You Nipponese are a spineless breed, too cowardly to admit defeat. Denying everything despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Well, forgive me, Lord Van Zeeks, but the defendant is not denying everything, as you put it. What are you doing, Mr. Zato? Do go on. Mr. Natsume has admitted to playing some part in the incident. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, now you mention it. When we visited him in the prison yesterday, he did tell us what had all happened. As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I could make out the sole silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman, wearing a green overcoat she was, and just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed onto the cold, hard slabs of stone at my feet. I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran as fast as my legs would carry me back to my accursed lodgings. A green overcoat. Well, that's exactly what the woman in that print is wearing. Oh my, a photographic print in full color. What will the world come up with next? The defendant has done nothing more than admit he fled the scene of a terrifying incident. It does not mean he's guilty of the heinous crime of stabbing the woman in the back. There was nobody else there at the time, just the two of them, the victim and the accused. In other words, there is nobody else who would have possibly stabbed the woman. A fact that the accused concedes. Seems this cross-examination can prove to be pivotal, counsel. Proceed, please. Yes, my lord. Nothing for it. I have to use this cross-examination to turn the tables here. It's our only chance. Let's see.
Hold it!
A light fog, you say? Well, light for London. You could see the opposite side of the street for once. Not much farther, though. That's light, is it? Around these parts, yes. Not something I expect a Japanese fellow like yourself to know, of course. I read that London is famous for its fog. But in my country, people usually imagine that gives the city a rather beautiful appearance. How quaint. Yes, well, it's not something us Londoners tend to romanticize, as I expect you can appreciate. I see. At this time of year, the fog causes a large number of accidents, especially when it's heavy. Sometimes you can't even see your own hand at the end of your arm. Indeed, the other day I was very nearly trampled by horses before I could see the carriage they were pulling. Ugh. Pseudo-Sandan, I should definitely remember to stop, look, and listen. However, on the day that concerns us, the fog was somewhat lighter than usual. A fact no doubt lamented by the accused. Hmm. Hmm. 445. I'm probably just gonna have to press. Hold it. How are you able to state that with any certainty? Quite simply, my learned friend. Because that is what the witnesses to this crime have told us. Ah, yes, Inspector Gregson mentioned the witnesses yesterday, didn't he? That's right. One of them is a policeman, I believe, from Scotland Yard. That is correct, ma'am. Then we must hear their testimony. The prosecution will, of course, call them to the stand, should it be necessary. But wait a minute. 5 o'clock in the afternoon in the middle of winter. It would have been dark already. No matter how light the fog might have been, no one could have been... I'm aware of the situation on your tiny island in the east. But here in the capital city of Great Britain, all main roads are illuminated in the night by gas streetlights. The prosecution believes there should have been ample light by which to witness the crime. Quite. Here in London, for the first time in history, mankind has completely conquered the darkness. Which means we really need to hear those witness statements. If I could just get through the fog of this cross-examination, maybe we'd be able to... It seems like House of Defense is taking stock. Continue with their testimony, Inspector. Out of the blue. The victim was stabbed from the... From behind, you say? That's right. As you can see from this print. Yes, quite so, Inspector. The handle of the weapon is clearly protruding from the victim's back. You say this poor woman, Miss Green, remains in critical condition? Comatose, no less? I'm afraid so, my lord. She's been treated at Bart's. I was hopeful that she'd come around before the trial started so I could take a statement, but it wasn't to be. Yes, that is indeed a pity. It would have been most illuminating to hear the victim's own account of events. Luck is on your client's side, it seems. On the contrary, my client has been extremely unlucky. Your force of tone is seriously undermined by those disturbingly wide eyes, I'm afraid. Oh my god. Did he just do another frickin' racist caricature? Oh my god. The accused ran off, scattering his belongings all over the floor. Uh-huh. Some of Natsumi's belongings. think you'll find that they're in the photographic print at the crime scene. Yes, the 3 books on the floor. That's right, my lord. Second-hand books they were. Irreparably damaged after falling in the snow, of course. The youth could have easily carried all 3 books in one hand. Which means... his other hand would have been free to wield a knife, for example. He's very clever, isn't he? What do you mean? You mean extremely hard for you to assert that Mr. Natsumi had his hands full with his books. He's managed to close the one avenue of escape we might have had before we even knew it was there. You mean to say the defendant was holding his belongings as he thrust the knife into the woman's back? That must be what happened, my lord, yes.
Hold it!
Wait. Okay, so it was 3 books. The defendant apparently visits a second-hand bookshop on a daily basis. Yes, so I understand. A shop full of old English literature. I commend the accused on the lofty subject matter of his scholarly attention. The bloke's room was stacked floor to ceiling with those musty old books. Can you tell us more about the bookshop in question, please, Inspector? Well, if I must, I'll have to ask you to look at the street again, I'm afraid. The closest second-hand bookshop to the accused lodgings is this place here, Bourbon Books. A little place on the corner of Briar Road and Meerschaum Street. As it happens, the accused is currently living in lodgings on the other side of Briar Road at the opposite end. Which means it doesn't take a genius to work out the route he would have taken home. Something like this. Ah, that's what I needed. Yes, I concur with your conclusion, Inspector. The defendant would certainly have passed the scene of the crime on his way home from that particular shop. Mr. Nandahado. I think what the inspector just told us could turn out to be of vital importance. Yes, I agree. It's more than that the inspector just made it being... Aha! That's not the bookshop he went to. It's the name. Inspector Gregson, may I ask you a favor? What? Would you kindly me add the name of the bookshop to your formal testimony, please? I believe it may be of vital importance. Maybe? Oh, well, you know, I mean, yes, it would be a very important clue. Very well. Not that I can see it being of any great significance. But please revise your testimony accordingly, Inspector. Yes, sir, my lord. Whatever you say. Could the man be any more sardonic? That isn't where he was going! He came from your books! Your books!
Objection!
If I could just stop you there, Inspector Gregson. What is it, sunshine? I'm a busy man, you know. This is a receipt that we found in Mr. Natsume's room. It was issued on the day of the incident and details the purchase of 3 second-hand books. And you found that in the accused's room, did you? Yes, but the point is not where the receipt was found, but the name of the shop printed on it. Go on. This receipt was issued from a bookshop called Your Books. Your Books? Y-O-R-E, I presume. Yes, my lord. So Mr. Natsume did indeed purchase a number of books at a second-hand bookshop that day. However, the bookshop in question was not Bourbon Books. Eh? What? Inspector, do you know of this other bookshop? Yes, sir. Your Books is another second-hand bookshop not far from Bourbon Books. It's just that... Well, it's such a small place I didn't think the accused would have known about it.
Objection!
But in fact, that is the bookshop which the defendant visited on the day in question. And this receipt proves it.
Objection!
Yes, for what difference it makes. Whenever the man purchased his musty tomes, it makes no difference in the final analysis.
Objection!
I disagree. I mean, after all, I have the street map here, if that might be of help. Oh, yes, thank you. Have a look at this, please. If the defendant had been returning from Bourbon Books, then yes, he would have almost certainly have passed the place where Miss Green was attacked. However, if we take into account the fact that it was actually at another bookshop, Your Books, it may very well turn out that he wouldn't have passed that location at all. Could that be true? My, it rather depends on whether this other bookshop is, but I do declare it may be a possibility. Is that right, Mr. Lawyer, sir? What you just said? Absolutely. It absolutely could be right. Inspector Gregson, where is this Your Books establishment? Well, obviously we looked into that. Turns out that Your Books is just here on the next corner of Meersham Street going east. There you have it, as you can clearly see now. Oh. My learned Nipponese friend is obviously in training to be a clown. The way he regales us with such witticisms. To your future career in the circus. You put that glass down now or I'll put it down for you. I, didn't think I needed to spell it out, but here we go. If the accused was coming home from Your Books instead of Bourbon Books, there's no doubt he would have passed the place where the victim was stabbed. Yes, thank you, Inspector. Ugh. I mean... not necessarily. He could have easily gone down the other way and made it back to his place even faster, technically. Because he'd have to go through the crime scene. And since he was, like, at the crime scene just, like, there, he could have easily just Like, look at this. Okay. So if he went the other way, he could still come upon the crime scene. Because the crime scene is right here where the X is. So it's really just a matter of, where did he actually come from? Did he actually come from the place that they say he did? Or was it the other way? Because either way, he was there at the crime scene. That doesn't necessarily mean he was actually the culprit, is the thing. He could have easily come upon the crime scene and still not been the culprit. Allow me to reiterate it for my learned, if somewhat slow, Nipponese friend. He did it again. Wherever the man purchases musky tomes, it makes no difference in the final analysis. As I suspected, you can't fool me, and I don't suggest you try. What did I say, eh? I've had enough of this now. Beg your pardon. Terribly sorry, but would you mind repeating that? Oh my god. That juror. Juror number 6 is wild. Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't give up. What do you mean? The prosecution's assertion is correct. The members of the jury may very well decide that Mr. Natsumi is guilty. She's absolutely right. You must think. You must consider the assertion just put forward by the prosecution very, very carefully. The game Sosuke must have passed the location and it's on his way home from your books, but... Objection. The assertion just made by the prosecution is fundamentally flawed. Explain yourself, counsel. Yes, my lord. You can see what I mean on this map. When returning from your books to his lodgings, Mr. Natsume could have followed the route suggested by the prosecution. However, this isn't the only conceivable route to take between the two places. If I didn't use these streets, look what happens. He arrives back at his lodge without passing the location where the victim was attacked.
Objection!
Talking back to a clown is a fool's errand, of course. However, I feel compelled to point out that that route is what commonly is referred to as the long way around. I mean, people take the long way around a lot, so... On a cold winter's night, why would any man choose to take a longer route home? Well, the answer is extremely simple. He wouldn't. In other words... Are you sure? What if the road was blocked? The road could have easily been blocked at that time. The accused took the obvious back to his lodgings and is the obvious perpetrator of this crime. But... yes, I've got it. Obviously, we must ask the man himself. Ask Mr. Natsume which route he took home. I have already informed the court of the accused's response to such questioning. He claims he has no recollection. That's right. As I said, the bloke seems to spend his time outside wandering aimlessly from A to B. That day was no exception. He says he doesn't remember where he was or which route he took home. Then you don't have evidence for either way. you don't have the evidence to say that he went through the crime scene or he didn't. Like, it's a very neutral ground now. It's very neutral ground. It's not one way or the other. I thank you, my learned friend, and suggest that we do not waste any more of the court's time by wandering aimlessly around this subject. Pray, what say you, insightful jurors? But even if that's the case, the defense still... I agree with Lord Van Zeeks. Wholeheartedly and in every way. What? I don't believe it. Does this mean... We, members of the jury, are completely convinced now. Very well. In that case, I hereby call upon all members of the jury to present your findings to the court.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty! 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 Guilty!
Shit. It would appear the jury's leading is unanimous. To the insightful members of the jury, I applaud your brave resolve. You served Queen and country admirably. Mr. Not. No, not yet. This isn't over yet. I still have one chance to sway the opinion of the jury. I have to tip the balance of those scales the other way. I have to turn this around. Somehow. Look through the eyes of the quarry, not yet willing to give up and die. So I presume you intend to wield your rights again in this trial. Rights of the defense written in antiquated British law that should have been buried long ago. Well, antiquated if you will. But it's the defense's prerogative to carry out a summation examination if it so chooses. Very well, counsel. In accordance with the letter of the law, we shall proceed with a summation examination. Are the members of the jury ready, Mr. Foreman? Of course we're ready. I'm all too familiar with the Nipponese whippersnapper and his uncouth refusal to throw in his alley. Yeah, because I frickin' threw you under the bus. Very well, then. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have determined the defendant to be guilty. For pity's sake, that little Nipponese oddity already admitted it to himself, didn't he? If he had said that a woman in green can laugh before his eyes, why it could only have been the victim? The man would have gone around the houses on his way back from the bookshop, not in winter. So the poor woman was attacked from behind, was she? How dreadful. I really don't care. Can't we just wrap this up now? I've got to get work to be doing. Your books. Yes, nice shop that. But bourbon books? No, not worth a visit. Only minor exceptions. The reason for finding the defendant guilty are all too clear. When the stabbing occurred, the only two people at the scene were the victim and the accused. And the accused himself has admitted to seeing the victim in her green overcoat sink to the ground before his eyes. Furthermore, we have heard from the inspector that the defendant then fled the scene. I must say, I would have Ambergrouse convict his man already. Oh dear, even the judge appears convinced of Mr. Natsume's guilt now. Ugh. What do you have to run away like that? How are we supposed to believe in some phantom attacker that nobody could see? It's impossible. How can I possibly make a case for the defense? Mr. Naruhodo, there's no time for grumbling. We want to force the trial to continue. Yes, I know. I have to turn the tide. I must make the jurors change their minds. Well, 4 of them at least. Exactly. We have no choice but to forge forward. You have the floor, Counsel. Begin your Summation Examination. Yes, my lord. Just need to keep this trial going somehow, whatever it takes. Come on, Ryunosuke, you can do it. Let's see what we can do. Hmm. Wait a minute. I think this one works.
Objection! Hold it!
Rip. That's not the one. Whatever. Whatever. Let's see. Maybe I should probably press.
Hold it!
Excuse me, but aren't you... Yes, it's Fairbanks. Yes, that's right. I was in the witness stand myself just 2 days ago. Yes, I had a feeling I knew your face, or the sight of it anyway. If I remember correctly, you're a banker, aren't you? That's right. After the gold rush down under, I came back to London to work. It was all going swimmingly until you started fossicking around. Bruce Fairplay was a man of repute. Sorry? Don't think I've forgotten how you treated me the other day. You had me and that young hatter pegged as criminals. Oh, well, you know, water on the bridge. Now there's all sorts of rumors buzzing around, and the police have been badgering me non-stop. If I could turn back the clock. Well, anyway, I don't know about the Hatter, but at least I'm in the clear now. And free to make up my own mind about who's guilty and who isn't. Thank goodness. Alright, maybe I might struggle to change this man's mind given our awkward history. Dear, I wonder what's become of Mr. First now. Yeah, for now I'm just gonna keep pressing. Because I don't think I can do anything currently. You're right that at the time of the incident, the defendant admits to have seen someone wearing a green overcoat walking ahead of him. Well, quite. That's precisely my point. Clearly, that someone wearing green was the victim. And clearly, that funny little Nipponese man with the disturbing mustache is the culprit. But let us not forget, madam, the defendant vehemently denies attacking the woman. Why, of course he does. If he admits to stabbing her, his life is over. That man is obviously a liver-faced coward, honestly, claiming the woman simply collapsed before his eyes. But that's a lie, as you're suggesting. Do you not think he would have concocted something more credible? Oh, I really couldn't say. After all, you are foreign. Who's to say what goes through your funny little minds? Racism! I could tell you what's going through my funny little mind right now, but you wouldn't like it. I do declare the man has already made an admission. He himself has stated that there was nobody else around. Surely the conclusion is obvious. No one else could possibly have committed this awful crime. Ugh. No one else could have done it. The accused must be the man. Really, it couldn't be more simple. Your argument is compelling in its simplicity, I must admit. Oh my, you're too kind, my lord. That went well for her.
Hold it!
But you can't deny that there are other routes Mr. Natsume could have taken from your books. Oh yes, like you drew on the map, you mean. What was it? Calabash Road or something? Precisely. But it seems to me that what counts is whether the little Japanese fellow actually went that way or not. Well, yes, that's true. And at the moment, there's no proof that shows he did, is there? But there isn't proof for the other way either. Well, yes, that's true as well. And as I understand, the accused himself doesn't remember which way he went, does he? Well, yes, that's annoyingly true. Winter nights are dark and cold, the way I see it. You'd want to get home as quickly as possible. Well, yes. This is all true. So really, the only thing that makes sense is that he went home along Briar Road. I'm supposed to be convincing you here. I have given a lot of thought, you know. I just didn't make up my mind on a whim that he did. And if there was some logical reason why he might have gone the Calabash roadway, it'd be different. I'd be happy to reconsider my position in that case, honest, I would. A reason why Suzuki might have taken the longer way home. Yes, a good reason. I don't imagine you'll be able to sway this young man's opinion without one. I should probably press him, because he's not saying anything.
Hold it!
A man's life on the line is here, sir. This will take as long as it takes. Don't get clever with me now, son. My life's on the line too, and so's my family's. The likes of you wouldn't understand, but a laborer like me can't afford to take time off. If I don't work, I don't eat, and neither do the wife and kids. Oh, I see. That must be very hard. I'll go to the union every morning to find out what needs doing. If you're late and the word's taken, it's tough. This time of year, there's water and gas supply pipes bursting left, right, and center. You're after cheap labor to get the roads dug up to fix it. It's a hard slog from dawn till dusk it is. So, you were out digging up the roads on the day of the incident as well, were you? That's right. In fact, if I remember rightly, it's just around the corner from where it all happened. But by that old bookshop it was. What? Another coincidence? That's right. Meerschaum Street it was. Meerschaum Street. If that's the case, then you would have to go around. Meerschaum Street. On the map, Mr. Nadaho, there are only 3 named streets. Juror number 5, I need you to add that information to your formal statement, please. What's the point in that? Can't we just get this business over with now? Please, sir, it's important. Fine, I'll do it then. On the day it happened, I was digging up Meerschaum Street from dawn till dusk. Well then. Boop. These 2 statements are clearly at odds with one another. At odds, Counsel? Explain yourself. Please don't point. It wasn't me, I swear. Eh? What? I just want to get this done and dusted. Well, juror number 3? Oh, me, sir? What do you mean? Juror number 5's words just now are extremely significant. Let's take a moment to consider the implication of what's been said on our map of the local area. On the day in question, Mr. Natsume visited this bookshop to purchase a number of secondhand books. On the same day, we know that there were works being carried out on Meerschaum Street, making it impassable. Which means that the defense route home could not have taken him along Meerschaum Street and down Briar Road. Oh yes, of course! What do you think, sir? Well, yes, you can't argue with that, really, can you? We must have had a good 2 yards or more of the pavement up. Every gentleman and gentlewoman that came along had to turn back and go the other way. So the only conclusion is this. The defendant must have taken the longer route back to his lodgings. Yes, I suppose he must have. I suppose that must be right, eh? Juror number 3, you said the following. The man wouldn't have gone around the houses on his way back from the bookshop. But we see now that he had no choice. Yes! My lord, Mr. Judge, sir, if I may? Yes? I don't think in all good conscience that I can say the man's guilty now. Yes, I'd like to see this trial continue so we can continue to get to the bottom of what really happened. What about you, sir? Eh? Who? Me? Well, alright then. If there's a hole in the prosecution's argument, it should be filled in. That's what I say. Oh, well done, Mr. Nadaho. That was wonderful. Well, we managed to change a couple of minds at least, strengthen our position somewhat. Yes, and it'll prompt the other members of the jury to reconsider their stance as well. They'll be asking themselves if the current leadings are really right or not. Now, if only we could just identify one more clear discrepancy that would make them stop doubting Mr. Natsume. We might be able to tip the balance completely. Yes, that's exactly what we gotta do. Means he's looking to bring this trial to an early conclusion. That's what we have to prevent by whatever means we have at our disposal. Thank you, Counsel. On with the Summation Examination, please. Yes, my lord. So what about you?
Hold it!
Sorry? Hold it, you say? Hold what? No. What I said was hold it. What I wanted to ask was, do you visit your books often? I like the old books they have in there, yes. I enjoyed reading them over a nice cup of old tea. That's my daily routine, you see. Same thing every day, including the day you're all talking about. And what time did you visit your books on the day in question? Well, I was picking out books in there all afternoon. It would have been just before 5 that I left. That's my daily routine, you see. Same thing every day, including the day you're all talking about. Just before 5, you say, exactly when the victim was attacked. Are you sure about the time? Oh yes, no mistake there. I remember it well. I'm not about to forget that day in a hurry, not after the dreadful time I had. What do you mean? Well, I was walking down Calabish Road when I slipped on the ice and donked my head. It's always worse after the snow stops falling. That's when it's most slithery. Knocked myself clean out, I did. Really thought my number was up. Wait a minute, let me get this straight. Wait. This happened on Calabash Road. You're also wearing the green coats. You're also wearing a green coat. Which tells me that Natsume saw you, not the victim. Wait a minute. If that's the case, that really changes things around. Why were his books there? Why were his books there if Natsume is the one who saw you? That's right, I live in Cornpipe, you see. Heading down Calabash Road is the quickest way for me to get back from your books. Sure, number 6, I must insist that you add that information in your formal statement. It may very well be extremely significant. Sorry? Extremely sick? No, I'm quite alright now. Change 2 of the jurors' minds near to Yes, just 2 more to go. Deliver the finishing blow now. It's time to turn the tables here. Wish I know how to do Susato's takedown. I suppose words will have to suffice for now. Got him.
Objection.
These 2 statements clearly show a flaw in the juror's reasoning. Law? What are you talking about, counsel? Well, juror number 2, juror number 6. Why, whatever you mean, sir. I think perhaps the old man didn't hear you. Unbelievable, it's not like I was loud or anything. There's at least one fact of which we can be sure of here. The bookshop receipt found in the defendant's room clearly indicates that on the day of the attack, he had been to your books and purchased a number of secondhand titles. He then returned home on foot. The man says he has no recollection of his return journey. That's correct. But what he does remember is seeing someone appear in front of him on the way. Someone in a green overcoat who suddenly collapsed on the pavement before his eyes. Yes, we are well aware of all this. The poor young woman who was stabbed, obviously.
Objection.
No. Can you really be sure of that, madam? My, whatever you do mean. I'm sure you heard juror number 6's account of what happened to him that day. That same afternoon, there was somebody else apart from the victim, who was wearing a green overcoat and who fell over in the icy streets in the neighborhood. Oh my. My goodness. You mean? That's right. I'm referring, of course, to the hard of hearing juror number 6. Are you really suggesting that the person in the green overcoat whom the defendant saw collapse in front of his eyes was the jolly old gentleman on the end of the bench here with me today? It's entirely possible, yes. After all, the old man has somewhat similar build to the victim. Well, look at that. My goodness me. Sorry? You need a pee? And crucially, we know precisely where the old man in the green overcoat fell. On Calabash Road. Therefore, if the person who Mr. Natsume saw collapsing in front of him was in fact juror number 6, it means the defendant must have taken the long route back to his lodgings. And if that's true, then clearly the crime scene on Briar Road where the woman was stabbed was not on his way home. You idiot, old man. If you hadn't been so daft as to be roaming about there, we'd have boxed this off hours ago. And really, what were you thinking wearing such a befuddling coat? What did you say to me? Is it a crime for the elderly to walk the streets these days, Is it a crime to slip over on the ice? Is it a crime to keep up with the latest styles and wear a beautiful green overcoat, is it? My lord, I do hope it won't cause any inconvenience, but you'd like to change your leaning, I presume. I do declare that I would. I should like to call for a verdict of not guilty. Thank you. And I would too. What? Is it a crime to change your mind, is it? Well... Well, that summation examination has concluded with a rather large shift in opinion. The A's 2, the no's 4. The no's have it.